The tariffs on Mexico and Canada are now on hold. We get a look at what led to the decision. And a deadly train crash in Ohio 2 years ago has led to a lawsuit being filed. What the suit alleges coming up.
Turning much cooler overnight tonight into Tuesday. It will be a dry, quiet day, but what has my attention? An alert day Wednesday evening into Thursday morning. Freezing rain going to be the big concern. I'll time it out and talk about the impacts coming up in my full forecast. Kaylee, back over to you.
Welcome into WTOL 11 News on Plus. I'm Kaylee Marintet. Let's get to your top stories of this Monday night. President Donald Trump's new tariffs order on Canada and Mexico was set to take effect tonight, but those plans have been put on pause. CBS has learned that President Trump is pausing tariffs on Canadian imports for at least 30 days. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says Canada will beef up border security in exchange for the pause. President Trump says the 25% tariff on imports from Mexico is also on hold for a month. Mexico's president also agreed to ramp up security at the border.
10,000 soldiers at their side of the border and stop fentanyl and illegal aliens from coming into our country. They have a big incentive to do.
President Trump is also planning to implement tariffs on China. Trump is scheduled to talk with China's president soon. There has been another bump in the minimum wage for people in Ohio, but experts say it may not be enough to cover all of your living expenses. It went up 25 cents from $10.45 an hour to $10.70 an hour. An economist and professor at Bowling Green State University says that minimum wage is based on consumer price index, but that it doesn't reflect all living expenses like your rent or medical costs. Minimum wage increases is based on the rate of inflation. And since prices went up at a slower rate, so has the minimum wage index.
If you're a renter and you experience a 10%, 7% increase in your rent every year, then this 2.3% minimum wage change is going to feel like you're losing out.
The BG professor says that most Americans currently make more than the minimum wage. For example, he says the average fast food employee makes $12 to $14 an hour. It has been 2 years since the train derailment in East Palestine. Vice President J.D. Vance and other Republican leaders toured the site today. The vice president surveyed cleanup efforts and met with community leaders and neighbors.
I think the first is just a signal to the people here in East Palestine that we will not forget you. I talked to the president about this visit a couple of days ago. The president loves this community.
The head of the EPA pledged that the completion of the cleanup in East Palestine would be the organization's highest priority. This visit comes after a lawsuit was filed today alleging for the first time that people died because of the train derailment. In Washington, D.C., crews started pulling the wreckage of the American Airlines jet out of the Potomac River at Reagan National Airport. This comes after the collision between the American Airlines regional jet and an Army Black Hawk helicopter collided last week. Everyone on board the plane and helicopter were killed. 55 of the 67 bodies have been recovered from the river so far. The cause of the crash is still under investigation. NTSB investigators are reviewing the black box data to find out more. Well, the mother of the Oxford High School shooter, Ethan Crumbley, is asking for her conviction to get thrown out or to get a new trial. Jennifer Crumbley's defense team argues her guilty verdict hinges on the testimony of 2 school employees who were offered proffer agreements, which are essentially binding contracts between a prosecutor and a witness that say the testimony they provided can't be used against them later on.
The point I'm making is the prosecution has gone to great lengths to, in my opinion, gaslight us to tell us this isn't immunity.
Jennifer Crumbley's own actions caused the death of those 4 kids and injured others and terrorized hundreds of others. And any attempt to say anything else is offensive, and it's not right, and I'm not taking the bait.
The judge is expected to hand down a decision on the request in writing, but did not say when. Chris?
And over the next couple of days, we've got some pretty big changes that are going to be rolling toward us. Cooler, dry feel on Tuesday, mostly cloudy skies, right around 32 degrees. Then an alert day that will swing into gear not until late Wednesday, after 7 p.m. Wednesday through 7 a.m. Thursday. We like to get a real tight time frame for you. It's about a 12-hour period that we're going to be experiencing freezing rain that will be the concern. Eventually, we will rise well above freezing Thursday afternoon, reaching into the lower 40s. All things totaled, though, it could be messy as we get into early Thursday. Highs today for your Monday. Wasn't it quite enjoyable? Felt like a hint of spring across the area. Many areas jumping through the upper 40s into the low and mid 50s. And now we're beginning to cool back, dropping back into the 30s, southern Michigan. There is a cold front that's making its way into the area. Could spark off just an isolated sprinkle. Most areas, though, very likely to stay dry tonight. What a difference. It was absolutely spring-like southern Ohio. Still 62 Columbus, 67 Portsmouth, 66 Cincinnati. They did hit in the 70s south of Columbus down toward the Ohio River. What also occurred down toward the Ohio River today, a little bit of shaking and rattling. An earthquake reported, a magnitude 3.1 earthquake just after 4 p.m. And while shaking was reported up into Columbus, it was not felt here in northwest Ohio. But did you know this? We have a seismic network here in Ohio with about 29 seismographs and several of them right here in northwest Ohio. This one in Wyandotte County actually captured the earthquake that occurred just after 4 o'clock. Now, it was not felt here in northwest Ohio, but these seismographs are very sensitive and they can actually detect some of that shaking that we aren't able to feel. So very cool. It was detected here in northwest Ohio, not felt. For our Tuesday, we're going to be mostly cloudy, back toward cooler conditions. It's going to look and feel a little bit more like February in the lower 30s. And I'm going to start our hour-by-hour forecast Tuesday into Wednesday because things are going to stay quiet the next 24 hours. Dry early Wednesday. Here's the clock, 8 a.m. Even through lunchtime, the evening drive, I have no concerns about the weather much of the day Wednesday. It's going to be after 7 p.m. So here we go. I'm going to start the clock here, 7 p.m. Freezing rain will be developing. Watch how quickly it does develop. Freezing rain likely Wednesday evening, Wednesday night. Will turn warm enough, but it's not going to be until early Thursday morning. We'll start to see plain old rain work in, but it could take several hours for that ice still to melt away, and slippery conditions could be possible on many of our area roadways. Let's look at ice amounts. We may be talking 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice, and if that's on roadways, untreated roadways, count on Thursday morning to be very treacherous. The impact level, going to put this about a 3 out of 5. Icy roads and travel impacts could be the biggest concern, and it could be 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch of ice. There's the alert day, Wednesday into Thursday. We will make it above freezing Thursday afternoon. Low 30s on Friday, and another system's got my attention Saturday. Rain, snow mix also possible. That could also come with ice. And the next week, much of the today forecast in the low 30s. Kaylee, back over to you.
All right, thanks, Chris. In Central Toledo, a mentoring program is making strides to promote literacy for kids. The Real Men Ready program, which has been providing students at Martin Luther King Center with books and one-on-one mentoring, is celebrating. The program has been selected as the 109th recipient of Judith's Reading Room.
Children who come to kindergarten unprepared are woefully behind when it comes to passing a third grade guarantee. So if we start working with them in kindergarten and then again in first grade, by third grade, they should be ready to roll.
Judith's Reading Room will provide books and other resources. 84 books were donated, with half of them going home with kids today. Black History Month is a time to celebrate rich heritage and history. Now, the Toledo-Lucas County Public Library is helping the community do just that. Dominique O'Neill has the story.
The goal, to educate, inspire, and engage people of all ages. The Toledo-Lucas County Public Library System is rolling out a variety of free programs. Talina Reynolds is the volunteer and partnership liaison. She says from book clubs and musical performances to hands-on activities, the library's programs are designed to include everyone with the focus on community involvement.
Because the library is inclusive to all, we have grown so much. I've been here with the library for 19 years, and I have seen the growth that the library has gone to include all of our populations, our communities, and so I think it's just grown in amount of programming, in the amount of people we have as customers. So we're here for all, and we have lots of things to do here.
For Reynolds, these events have a personal meaning, highlighting the importance of representation and connection.
A personal thing for me being African American and having, grown, my favorite month going in school was February because I knew I was going to learn about people like me, new information, what we do, took me out of the realm of just being a student to see that someone like me could even be president now, but it's so important because you are relating to our community. You're letting the people know that we see you, we have programming for you, we understand you, and we want you to come into our library.
The library is offering something for everyone this Black History Month, from crafting Benjamin Banneker's clocks to exploring the history of African Americans in chocolate.
We have book clubs focusing on African Americans in horror and sci-fi, so that's at least 7 to 10 of our locations. We have a Make a Benjamin Banneker clock. So Benjamin Banneker was the first African American to make a clock at the age of 21. So we're inviting our customers to come in to make a clock out of little parts and cardboard. So we can make a clock. We also have our Journey Through Chocolate. I'm looking forward to that one. You go in, you're learning the history of African American and chocolate. You'll be able to sample some chocolate and take some home with you. We also have our several author talks. We have authors coming. We have musicians coming. We have Guy Davis, we have Nikki Payne, Terry Crosby. So we have lots of author talks, musicians, book clubs, drop-in programs, spice programs. So lots of things at the library.
The library also partners with local organizations to reach more people, like a special program to honor important people in history.
We're celebrating Rosa Parks Day on February 8th. We partner with Tartar and NAACP to celebrate the life and times of Rosa Parks. So that's at many of our library locations. It's absolutely free.
That's on February 8th, but the Toledo Lucas County Public Library's Black History Month programming runs throughout the month. There are events for all ages, and you can find a complete list by heading over to WTOL.com. Dominic O'Neill, WTOL 11.
The Zablocki Center could be getting revamped soon after Toledo City Council passed an amendment aimed to revitalize it. Council is allocating $150,000 to bring in a consultant to draw up a new strategic plan for the center. The director of the Zablocki Center says any resources from the city will help.
I really think that these resources that the city is going to bring into here is going to be that oxygen mask for this community. It's new, it's exciting, and it's an infusion of resources that is just going to help this community breathe again.
Councilman Vanice Williams sponsored the amendment. We reached out for comment, but we were turned down. Well, it might still be winter, but it's never too early to start thinking about baseball, and the Toledo Mud Hens are already making moves for this upcoming season. The Mud Hens announced who its new manager will be, and it's a familiar face. Gabe Alvarez, who managed the Erie Seawolves to back-to-back championships, is taking over. Alvarez played with the Mud Hens and Tigers from 1998 to 2000. The season starts on March 28th against the Columbus Clippers. Well, Maumee City leaders have come under fire in the last few decades. They've had complaints over the forced increases in the cost of water and sewer, complaints on the mandates for housing and rental properties, even complaints on the changes to infrastructure downtown and the traffic on Conan Street. City Administrator Patrick Birch says the city's efforts to implement change had led to threats for both him and his family. Our Jeff Smith is joining us, who sat down with Patrick Birch. Jeff, there's some history here with an unsettled public and Birch.
Yeah, I don't know if we have the sound that we had for Patrick during the show. Do we have that? Okay, let's go ahead and listen to see what Patrick said.
I've never been asked to leave a job, never been fired, and there's a reason for that, because I am an aggressive type leader. I'm somebody who, I'm a change agent. I truly believe that if you don't become an agent of change, you become a victim of it. So I'm the kind of person who will push, and at some point,
abrasive? Would you?
Well, I don't know that that's the case. I'm direct.
Well, it sounds like him being direct has kind of ruffled some feathers.
Yeah, the directness has rubbed people the wrong way. In fact, I'll tell you what, I got a lot of messages on social media just over the last couple of days